everyone, thanks for coming. Just to let you know how we're going to do this, we're going to play a short video in a minute, and then Dame Patsy, Rollo, and our new director of rugby for the Black Ferns will come in, make some opening remarks, and then have some questions. Yeah? Can you roll the video, please?
Tui te ko. Uri kau wana taku manu ki te moana o roto mahana. Te whakatākuro o ranga a te wakatupuna a te aroa. Hiki whakararo taku manu ki te rohe o oku tupuna a nā te tuhairangi. Tā koto aku nei ko taku ukai pō a te pākira. Hei whakaruru hau I te hapu a nā te wahi aho. Ko Allan Bunting te tangata e tuake nei. I'm just absolutely honoured and blessed to be in this position right now. With what's just happened, the gift that Smithy and the coaches brought to life there for women's rugby, and I think there's a massive amount of talent in this country and space for growth in the women's game, and that for me I get to live my purpose and hopefully bring that to life in the next couple of years and create something special. So I think I'm in the right place. And I get absolute joy helping someone find their potential and bring that to life. That's what really gets me out of bed in the morning. The one thing for me, just most fulfilling for me, is watching our ladies really grow and learn, grow in their self-awareness and learn for themselves what it takes to be the best, on and off the field. And I realised my playing days were just the start of my coaching days, where I learned as a player and what do we have to create to bring the best out of our athletes. And I jumped on the Sevens Junior when it became an Olympic sport, and I remember sitting down, I just said, far out, we can win a gold medal with our ladies here. That was 12 years ago, I think, and we set off on that quest. It took a couple of goes, but we finally got there. It's been a real privilege to be a part of that, and I know with the 15s, Smithy reached out and asked me to come in and help. I don't think I did too much, to be honest. I probably helped out in the start as more of a soundbite for Smithy, help sort of deepen connections to self a little bit, and probably the end part of that I ended up being the student and just watching and learning, and an absolute gift that Smithy gave to women's rugby. I hear a lot, he tangata, and it's all about the people. That's always been critical for me. I think it's extremely critical in this next part. We really need to build depth in our people, depth in our support, not only just our players, but the people that support our players and our community, our schools, our community rugby. If we get that right, then our competitions will start to thrive, and I think special things will really start to happen. I'm just massively excited and passionate about the future of women's rugby, so I think Aotearoa, let's jump on this together and give these ladies the support they need, and I'm sure our ladies are going to go and take this with both hands and run with it.
Kia ora koutou. Nau mai haere mai ki te whare mamuku. We're here today to celebrate our Black Ferns, and in particular to acknowledge our new Black Ferns Director of Rugby. I just want to make a few opening comments about how delighted the board is with Allan's appointment. The calibre of applicants really was just a testament to just how far the Black Ferns program has come. We saw it all as fans in the Rugby World Cup, and the development that's been made over the last few years since we've become, the Black Ferns have become professional in Aotearoa, New Zealand. So we're delighted with the result, we're delighted with the appointment of Allan. He embodies our values, he embodies the values of Te Ara Rangatira, and that, as we know, will help us continue that extraordinary momentum in the women's game for the future. We also acknowledge that it's building on, and Allan's leadership will build on the values and support that we all recognise as vital to the hauora of our women's team, and was highlighted in the Women and Girls Review of last year. So Robbo, can I hand to you to talk about Allan?
Yeah. Morena tātou, lovely to see you all again. Thank you for being available to help us celebrate what's a really special day for us with Allan's appointment. As Dame Patsy has said, I'm just going to take a few moments to speak to what we see as a truly special person in Allan, and a little bit about his pedigree coming into the role. Clearly he has extensive involvement in the women's game and has led wonderful environments over the past 8 or 9 years now in the women's area of the game. Outstanding results and sevens, obviously, with the Black Ferns sevens in Olympic cycles, and also incredibly successful with Chiefs Manawa in last year's Opiki competition. Also a key member of the management team as part of the Black Ferns Rugby World Cup winning side last year. So absolutely delighted that he brings that those insights and the unique characteristics to lead an incredibly exciting time across the women's game as we look forward to what will be, as we build out the number of competitions we're looking at now, both at a club level and an international level, a really inspiring period that will culminate in this cycle with the Rugby World Cup in England. He is a man of incredible mana, incredibly well respected across the women's game and right across New Zealand rugby for that matter, for the career and the journey he's been on with his coaching work in the last little while, as I've said. I met with Bunce last week. We had a fortunate opportunity to sit down and talk about his vision, about where he sees himself taking the campaigns and the environment, and what came through was a massive amount of energy and passion, and it's clear he's ready to make a real difference to the Black Ferns. And it's just been amazing to see his journey also. I think we were saying before, we played together many moons ago, back in 03 I think it was, and it was a tough game too, the Bay of Plenty and the Shield Challenge I think with Canterbury, and he was a great competitor and a brilliant person as a player, but to see him maturing now into this space is also really rewarding for our organisation, and epitomises what we are trying to do in terms of creating great environments and promoting wonderful people into leadership. Last year's review, as Dame Patsy has mentioned, illustrated some opportunity within areas of culture and leadership, and we think Allan is an outstanding fit to help build on the learnings from that time, and we look forward to what he can develop in that space also. I'll touch briefly before passing over for questions, but the other thing we are clearly excited about is the growth of Super Rugby Opiki this year. We see opportunity to further build that with our friends in Australia in the near future, and then obviously build that into opportunities with Japan and USA beyond that for Super Rugby competitions. Clearly with the campaigns for the Black Ferns we have this year, already we're seeing the growth of international fixtures come through with the Laurie O'Reilly Cup, the Pac 4 competition, and Women's XV also being worked through, and we hope to have some confirmation of those fixtures soon. So a minimum of 7 test matches for the Black Ferns this year, an increase from in the past a number of sort of 2 to 3 games. So again, significant growth there. So I'm going to pause now. I know you've all seen Allan's opening comments via the video presentation, so we will move straight to questions if that's all right, and open things up. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
You built a world-class culture with the sevens team. How do you move that on and sort of capitalise on the culture of these?
I think that the first thing is the people, getting the right people, getting our leadership aligned, and looking a little bit further forward to the World Cup, and deciding as a group what do we want to be, what do we want to be at that time, and then we come up with our values and as a team, and everyone's heading in the right direction. I think we can create something special. And I always see myself as looking after the modi of a group. I don't know how I end up there. I just do it naturally, and that's the life force, the energy, and just steering everyone in the direction that we think we should go. So that's probably the plan.
Who are the people that you will have around you as your coaches?
Well, I've just sort of landed here at the moment, and all our roles will go through process. I think it's an opportunity to give everyone a fair chance. And people have contributed to this group, through the World Cup, that we have to acknowledge that. But hopefully we end up with the best people after a good process.
Would you be keen on keeping Whitney and Wes?
I haven't actually had a chance to catch up and talk to them, but the option will be open there for them, and we'll go through the process and see how we end up.
What did you learn last year with Wayne that you'd like to now bring to the table as a good coach?
Oh well, I could talk for a couple of days around Smithy, and he really put himself out there, and he did something for an old mate, Laurie, and he brought an absolute gift to our women's game, just an empowering, attacking game that our ladies absolutely fell in love with, and it captured the hearts of me, our ladies, and a nation, and he knows people really well, he cares. And I think it's our responsibility to, as individuals, as a team, and as a nation, to continue and build off that.
Allan, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
To you and your family as well.
Mm.
We heard from Lou the other day at the Super Rugby launch. She said she wanted someone for this role that was courageous and brave enough to play the brand of rugby that the Black Ferns have developed. Do you believe you are that person?
Yeah, I believe I am.
And how are you going to go about that in terms of what do you see as sort of the biggest challenge or the most immediate thing that you want to get going with this year?
Well, I think if I did, or someone come in and try to change too much around how we were playing, I don't think it would happen. Our ladies probably wouldn't go there. I know like I said, they fell in love with the brand of rugby that we played. So I guess it's like my role to, that philosophy that we had in behind our game, to keep that going. And obviously coaches will come in and add there a little bit, and that's really important. But I think that real attacking style of rugby, as Smithy said, it's in our DNA. It's our profile. It's our ethnicity. It's something that we love, and making sure that we enjoy what we do is really important. So that'll be a key focus for me.
Just how critical is it to get the ball rolling and carry on the momentum that you did create last year in terms of getting fixtures, the rest of your coaching panel and things like that confirmed?
Yeah, we need to move quite quickly, but I think it's not rushing into just getting people, it's making sure we get the right people. A key thing is obviously expertise in people's roles. There's going to be I'm really massive on character. Relationship orientation is important. Our ladies will be spending 34 weeks out of our environment in hubs, and we need to be out there present and connecting with people, and the people that are supporting us feel like they are a real part of us, so that when our ladies do come in, they feel like they've been supported. But most importantly, our ladies are learning how to drive that themselves.
Allan, you've been involved in this game for a long time. Has this always been a role that you've
I guess I talked to Patsy around this a while ago. Is one thing I've learned over my time is not to look too far down the future. Where I am right now is, if I put my energy into that and do a good job, when I sort of come to the end of that and I feel like I've fulfilled my purpose, then usually something else appears that I can go and live my purpose again. So I've always had a job to, well, for me it's always been, where am I going to make the most difference? And when I sort of ended with the World Cup this year, just seeing the opportunity and what just happened at the World Cup and the potential for growth in women's rugby, that's where I knew I needed to be.
just on that World Cup, I guess the groundswell of support and a successful was there a lot of expectation that comes with it carry it on?
Oh yeah, there's always an expectation when you're coaching the national teams, and it is a nation that expects our teams to do really well and represent our country with mana, and I think that's what makes us great. When we do lose, the country feels it and we hear about it. So we do have a responsibility to get our game at the Black Ferns level, keep that thriving, but really grow our game underneath in our picky competitions and FPC and community and club. Yeah, I think so. Well, I think as Robbo said, our Super Rugby competition growing, expanding, our FPC, because the FPC competitions is the closest to our schools. I remember when I was at school and I was looking up at the All Blacks, and that's where you wanted to be, but there was things that were a little bit closer, and I knew I could play for Bay of Plenty, and I strived for there. And then once you get there, so I think once we get our competitions thriving, then the pathway will be more clear for our days. We've got so much talent in this country, especially in our schools, just up here in Auckland. So a real big focus for us is to build some real talent ID and wrap some support around it. Yeah, it's a funny thing. But once you get connected into our women's teams, you never want to leave. You've got an emotional connection, and I know he'll be helping out. I've already reached out to Smithy, and I'm sure if we're going off track, he'll give me a quick call, and yeah, so they'll be connected for life, I'd say.
Well, how do you get that balance between stepping your own mark in the team and then got to be the team?
Well, I guess when I went in there, and a lot of stuff that I helped Smithy bring to life wasn't anything to do with me. It was, the Black Ferns have been hugely successful for a number of years. It was, how do we take that greatness and learn from, this tough patch we've been through, and connecting the ladies and Smithy and head off on a direction. So it's never going to be just what my ideas are. It's going to be connecting with the leaders. We've had 32 players that got to experience that beautiful gift, and like I said, connecting with them and what we want to be in 3 years' time.
What have you put your own thoughts about how things got to change?
No, I think now that we've got great competition, 7 tests this week. We've got an O-Picky that's building, and FPC there's plenty of opportunity to play now. And like for me, it's about how do we really build that depth. As Black Ferns, there's nothing more that drives performance when you've got someone snapping at your heels, and that'll really raise the standards in our group, which is really important. So yeah, I hope that answered. No. Yeah, I think it is keeping it, take the greatness out of what just happened and keep that going, and obviously there'll be different people, if there is different people, and hearing what they think they've got to give to this team, and we want to keep moving fast. As a national team, the country expects this team to do really well, so we need to make sure that we can get to the intensity that we got to at the end of that World Cup whenever we get on the field, and just make sure we've got the right people and support underneath it. Me? I know one thing for sure is I'm human. So, and I know that I don't have the answers. I've got some pretty good ideas from my experiences, but I think, for me, the most important thing is, as I showed in that video, was I get absolute joy and fulfillment when I see people grow, realise their potential and start reaching that on and off the field, and I guess that's where I see myself focused on.
I think I heard the expansion of the O-Picky competition over time. Was that the question? Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, we had some conversations about possibly doing that as soon as this year. The windows of our respective competitions don't quite allow that to happen for 2023, but certainly for 2024, that's a live discussion about a possibility of joining, or at least playing that, joining that final series if possible. As it relates to other countries potentially joining, conversations with the likes of Japan, especially through visits we had at the end of last year are live at present. They are also building their women's program, more significantly over time. And then I think it's commonly known that in North America, both through USA and Canada, strong international teams with the interest in building, more competition below that as well. So we haven't put a definitive time frame on it, but the conversations are active, and we're looking to move quite quickly. The timing of the fixtures announcement. I don't think there's an exact time frame. As always, when you're dealing with international fixtures, there are a number of parties we're working through, the respective national unions, World Rugby. There's a number of parties to work through that with. So we're confident we'll have the fixtures. We just need a little bit more time before we can announce around venues, time zones, and all that sort of thing.
Allan, what's next from you just being the director of rugby? What's next now? Is it kind of hit the ground running, or you just like to think of
definitely hit the ground running. People in support will be a focus. Opiki, I'm really looking forward to that. We've got some amazing new talent in there. The ladies that have been in a World Cup, hopefully we can get to a standard that they were at the World Cup, and then we've got some of our ladies that have gone away and had children and come back, Shemaine Smith and Aroha Savage, and so it's going to be an amazing opportunity. So we finalise our contracting after Opiki, hopefully have our people, and then we'll have a plan to enhance the mana and our legacy.
There's a number of players, there's a number of players heading over to Super W and England. Is that something that concerns you, or are you of the view that the more rugby the better?
Well, it's opportunity to keep our players here, right? So our competitions are going to grow. It's our second year of Super Rugby, and that's only going to keep expanding and growing our FBC with the more test matches, and then hopefully having a Black Ferns team and then potentially a development team. I think that it's only going to grow. But I've been lucky enough to be involved in the women's game for almost 12 years now. I think you said
12.
11, 12 years, and I've always been on this pursuit of closing the gap. Support, and at the moment, living's expensive. It's blooming hard, and our ladies are expected to win. The goal here is how do we take away as much worry as we can off the field, and so that they can meet our expectations. So we'll keep driving. I know New Zealand Rugby and the board are behind us in supporting that.
And much of that 12 years of your experience was over in the Sevens program, and obviously the Sevens girls linked with the move back into the World Cup last year. Now that the majority of them are back in that Sevens environment, how are you looking forward to building relationships with those that are just in the 15 side?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing with coaching is trust, and trust takes time. So it's about showing genuine care, connecting with people, getting around when they're not in our environments, because that's where probably most of our growth is going to be built. And I know that our Sevens ladies or contracted people will be focused on Olympics now. They've got qualifications this year, and then they'll be competing next year, which will be great. But I think that really gives us space to grow some more depth in time for players for test matches, and when it comes time for the 15s World Cup, there's real competitive spots there where people are really competing. So I think it's a good couple of years and chance for building some depth.
Last year, how much of a pace did you coach?
Well, my first 15s I coached was back at St. Pat's Silverstream. I'd just come back from overseas, and I was teaching PE there, and they asked me if I wanted to take the first 15, and I said, oh yep. I jumped in there, and that was a pretty cool experience. I learnt a lot, and I ended up having lunch out in the playground with the boys. We ended up going to the gym early in the morning and having little extra trainings and a captain's run, which wasn't probably normal. But I learned a lot. That's when I first started 15s, and someone that had a massive influence for me as a player was Joe Schmidt. He coached our Bay Plenty team along with Fern Cotter, and some of the things that he taught me back then I still use now. I'm sure he's changed some of his views, but he had a massive influence in my life. So that's when 15 started, and then I went over to Sevens, and then obviously I was blessed to be able to help out with get the Manawa campaign underway last year, and I was involved with the Chiefs, learned a lot from Clayton and Roger Randall and Hilly and Getz through there, so, and then got to watch Smithy and Chrono and Ted, they work along with Whitney and Wes, so I was still plenty to learn, but that's been my 15th experience.
When you were coaching Southland,
No, I remember one time we practiced this move. I seen the Crusaders do it. We practiced it every Thursday, and they just wouldn't do it. And then I found a video of it, and I played it to the team, and then they did it the next week. I got the key learning is our people are kinesthetic, tactile learners. Sometimes they need to see it happen and see it work before they do it, and those are the little gifts that you take from all your bits of journey. But I definitely didn't see myself here. But what's that? Well, it was a sort of mid crash and then a bit of a snapback, wrap around with the halfback and went through. I can remember it quite vividly. Oh, they might. Yeah.
One national coach, who's giving us an update about when we were able to process
19 minutes, Liam, to the conference. Hey, we're here to celebrate Allan and the Black Ferns, and talk a lot about how wonderful the opportunity is for women's rugby over the next little while, and we're really excited about that, so that's where our focus is today. Just listening to everyone talk and the questions coming in, we know there's massive momentum building around the game in this area, and we're excited to focus on that. Oh, again, we're just excited about Allan's appointment, the Black Ferns, Super Rugby Opiki, these competitions we're looking at all the time, more and more new ideas coming through, so that's where we're really focused.
All good? Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Well done.
You all right?
Yeah, I just did it.
Sorry, what
Well done,
was
mate.
that
Good
with,
stuff. Thanks.
St.
St.
Pat's.
Oh, 2011?
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, I think. 11 or 12.
It's not that long ago.
No.
Did they win that year?
We did actually win the competition.
See, well, at that, they won the competition that year.
It's a good go at it.
Stop it.
I thought